Hi, my name is Dexter Gelfand, if you've never seen my videos or heard of me before. And today I want to talk about something in relation to my practice, which I call therapeutic spiritual counseling, that I really feel very strongly about. And it's something that I find very disturbing. And I think that there are some of us who understand that when people react badly to something you're expressing that might be unpleasant, that generally what's happening is their own unpleasant feelings that are similar are resonating and being triggered. And so when they distance themselves from you or don't accept your communication in such a situation, they're really trying to suppress their own feelings. Now, through various means, including my practice, such material can be resolved. But what's disturbing to me is that over the years, I've gotten quite a few reports from participants, from paying participants of mine, my clients, that some practitioner that they saw before reacted to their feelings to try to suppress what they were saying or refuse to accept what they were saying or to, in some way, try and discourage them or stop them from communicating in the session or from what they were communicating, not accepting. And that is really going down a bad road for any practitioner. It's a terrible bad road. What it does to the client is to make them feel unsafe to express themselves, unsafe with that practitioner, and sometimes afraid and unsafe to go to any other practitioner too, because in effect they've been betrayed. You know, one of the prime principles of a counseling session of any kind is that you should feel completely safe to express whatever comes into your mind. Nothing should be taken personally. And an experienced practitioner should understand very well that whatever a client is expressing is exactly what's they're presenting exactly what they need to process, and that's why they're saying it. And to react to that because it feels unpleasant to the practitioner, well, a lot of things have gone wrong for that to happen. An experienced practitioner should understand very well that they don't have to be affected by anything the client says. A very experienced, effective practitioner who is passionate in his purpose to help the client should feel nothing other than complete empathy. He should feel what the client is feeling willingly and appreciate and understand that that's a good thing. That's what the client needs. The client needs to fully process, to digest, to examine, to express the things that they have been afraid to, that have been painful for them. That is the main context of a session, in my opinion, anyway. And it's difficult enough, especially when a client is new or unfamiliar, to have that degree of trust that is necessary for the client's success in your practice. And it's really, really traumatizing, and it's really something that can easily send a client or participant into a state of hopelessness and distrust when the practitioner in some way does not accept what the client has to express. Wow. I've heard many such reports from clients that have come to me after seeing another practitioner. And I'm not going to name names. I don't want to hurt any practitioners. And frankly, I believe that every single one of them is so well intended to be doing what they do. They deserve to be corrected. And I'm going to give some examples. The practitioner who was having a hard time with the client, which is something the practitioner creates, not the client, had the client read a definition of resistive case to suggest to the client that they weren't doing their part in the session, that they were resisting. Now, the only true definition of a resistive case is that client who is not being allowed to express himself and or not being asked the right questions. It's not on the client if it's not going well, and it can never be. And the practitioner does not have to take it as some sort of loss or some sort of challenge to their expertise for things to seem to go wrong, or for the client to have negative things to say. Another example, a client came to me who told me that sometimes in his sessions with his previous practitioner, he would express hopelessness, and he would express that there's nothing to live for, and he would express feeling suicidal, and and the desire or intention to end his life. Now, the practitioner couldn't have this, wouldn't accept this, and that's really, really bad. The practitioner responded by telling the client, "Oh, you shouldn't have thoughts like that. That's not good for you." I'm paraphrasing what they actually said, but that in essence was what they said. That's still a form of not accepting what your client is expressing. And all that the practitioner actually had to do was recognize that the client needed to get this off his chest. He needed to unburden this. He needed to be safe to say that and feel what that made him felt instead of suppressing it so it never got processed. And that's the key thing that we all as practitioners need to understand. Whatever the participant is expressing is what they need to express. And your primary job is to encourage and allow the expression of what they present. That is the primary job, or the primary activity. In my view, the purpose of the practitioner, such as myself, is to facilitate the accomplishing of whatever the client is there to accomplish. And that includes accepting and encouraging whatever the client feels they need to express. Now, I could think of several more examples. The practitioner who told the client when the client wasn't winning with that practitioner's technique, that the problem was that, he said this to the client, that they were too, quote unquote, low level to work with. What an offensive thing to say. Oh, boy. Really terrible. I could go on. I know a lot of other examples from clients that have come to me. And I'm criticizing the reactions of the practitioners. I really don't mean this as a criticism of the practitioner, but if this sounds like you, maybe the shoe fits, it's okay. It doesn't mean that you aren't also accomplishing great things. It doesn't mean that you aren't dedicated to helping your clients. But get yourself fixed, okay? This impulse to react badly and defensively to what your client is presenting is simply your own material needing to be processed. I can help you with that. Come to me. I will help you with that. I would be happy to do that. If not me, fix yourself some other way. You can do it. You have to do it. And no client should ever be made to feel like they should inhibit or restrain what they're feeling or what they want to express. That's the gold that is in a counseling session. That's where the gold is in the processing, for the client to be granted the freedom and safety to examine and express and process exactly what they're feeling, what they're there to process. And that's where all the good comes from. Frankly, a participant shouldn't be doing a whole lot of talking. A participant shouldn't be in love with his techniques or his commands or the next thing he's supposed to ask or say to the client. Because when that client is speaking, or when they're not speaking, but they're also not looking at you, they're engaged in thought, they're processing. That's where the processing is happening. There is little or no processing and no gain happening while the practitioner is speaking to the client. That's not where it is. So we all need to be cognizant that mostly what needs to happen is for the client to feel safe and free in examining what's on their mind and expressing it. That's where it all happens. And sometimes we do need to ask the right question to prompt this, but never, ever to interrupt the client or stop them from what they're expressing in order to say or ask what we want to say or ask, because we are interrupting a good process that is already in place when that is happening. The practitioner's role, my role, is to be completely inviting of whatever the client is presenting. And for the most part, to be engaged interestedly, which is not something that is faked. Because if you're not really interested in engaging and actually joining with that client's mind and world and universe and experiencing it along with them, then you're in the wrong business. But I don't think you are. Anyway, I cannot stress this enough. When a practitioner, I'm speaking to both practitioners and participants here, because participants need to be validated and acknowledged for when this has happened to them in any instance with any practitioner. And I do not mean to set myself above other practitioners. I'm not perfect. I may very well have said or done things myself at some times, like I'm speaking about. If I have, I apologize, and I wouldn't mind anybody pointing it out to me. There is always room to improve, and we all need to be conscious of improvement always and self-correcting. Anything in life is always a work in progress. We can aspire to absolute perfection and godliness, and it's perfectly good, and I agree with aspiring to such things, but with the understanding that that is not a goal that is necessarily in reach, but it will keep us going in the right direction. So to all of you who have come to a practitioner for help, you deserve and need to be fully accepted, full acceptance, not stopped, interrupted, criticized, analyzed, told about yourself, any such thing. So that is what you have a right to expect and what you need in a counseling session. And if you ever feel like that's being violated, let your practitioner know. And if it continues and it persists, then you might have to find somebody who is better suited for you. That can be. And to all my fellow colleagues in any form, shape, or paradigm of giving counseling sessions, therapeutic sessions for the purpose of helping the other person, please always bear in mind that whatever happens in a session, if you're feeling affected by it, you are the one creating that, and you don't need to create that. The person in front of you must trust you implicitly. If they didn't have a lot of trust, they wouldn't be there. And you also need to trust them and know that they are only presenting what they need to. And they're trusting you to fully accept it and help them find their way out of what is disturbing them through allowing them to fully process and digest and examine the things that have been disturbing them. So let's all agree on that. And anytime I can be of any help to anybody, that's what I'm here for, as are all my colleagues and other participants, without a doubt. Thank you very much. Again, I'm Dexter Gelfand, and I call my practice Therapeutic Spiritual Counseling.